Good afternoon, Justin Equinedge, Fairgrounds Race 4 Stakes race coming up 20 minutes. My biggest opinion right here in the middle of the card. So, it's a good stakes race, though. I love this. The Del Mar R. Caldwell Memorial. It's for state bred. You got Blue Flame here. Or sorry, Blue Fire, not Blue Flame. Blue Fire, Fast Flame, 6-string, Bell Out, and Secret Faith. So, to me, this is between Blue Fire and Secret Faith. 6-string, though, kind of an interesting player here, to be honest. It's the Scotty Longshot at 2-1 E morning line, but I think that's partly coming down because scratches. There's a lot of speed here. In my opinion, I think you got to make a decision. I'm playing a cheap pick 3. It's $2 for 50 cents. Gonna play it strongly, play it for however much you want. I just don't think you spread here and use a bunch of horses because you're just kind of wasting dollars. We'll talk about the others. Let's watch the race him. Secret Faith, she's just incredible. Did so well at the state bred level last year. The only loss she actually had at a state bred level was versus Blue Fire and just missed. I'm going Secret Faith. I think she sits a dream stocking trip off all this speed. The 2 going to be in between. The 1 Blue Fire going to take all that pressure. I think Secret Faith comes up over the top. They're sprinting 6. You can see it's so close at the end, 175. But I'm going with Secret Faith in the stakes race. It's going to be a good one. It's coming up in 19 minutes. Kicks off the Derby pick 6. Not a bad play because the late races are really tough, in my opinion. The last 2 races are wide open. So, if you're playing the pick 4, pick 5, or even pick 6, I thought you could go narrow in these first few legs. Let's go to the second race, race 5. I like the exacta play here as well. I think that there's some potential there. With the 7 and 8, I'm going to try to beat the 9 out of here. I think the 7 is the horse I want more on the front end versus the 9. And Paco is absolutely red hot here at Fairgrounds. I mean, he's dominating right now and just winning race after race. He got the double early, and I think he up to 5 wins in 3 days already. So, I cut a ton here. A lot of these horses, in my opinion, don't fit. The only reason I left these other players on here, I only like the 7 and 8 to win is, maybe a trifecta play. I would watch that, maybe a 7-8 over a handful of horses or an 8-7. I like the 8 on top was my top pick, Southscape with Paco. I think it's a dream trip off these 2 runners, but I do think Boss of All Bosses is going to be tough. You can see on the race sim, the 8 takes over. I'm hoping the 9 from out there duels and backs up. If you look at Southscape, I mean, comes off the layoff for Shane Wilson using Paco, as I mentioned. He's been on fire, 36% at 11 mounts. That might be, I'm not sure if that's totally outdated or updated yet, but we'll update here shortly. But, has run really well, stocked the pace in a 50 at this level at Louisiana off the layoff. You can see my notes down here if you're an E user. I mean, I think just sit a good trip. You have a nice little morning line. Probably going to take money, though, I would take with Paco. And the 7 will as well. Probably going to be your favorite. And going to be right there at the stretch. Boss of All Bosses. Second time on the drop for Maker, right? Was in a 60 at Delaware. And then at Indiana, burned money. So that's why I'm going 8 on top. But I think, maybe a little bit of an exacta play here. You could play 8-7, 7-8. And then I also like, maybe a trifecta play here. Kind of depends on the price, but, you might be able to get one of these prices into third. If you do, and then try and pay really good. But I think the 7 or 8 are the only 2 that can win the race, in my opinion. So, as I mentioned in the pick 3, 7 to 7-8 in race 5. And then if we go to race 6, this is a great race. It's a main special. So, I'm using our tool here. We'll watch the race sim. I don't think any works on these horses to watch any video, but I'm going to rely on the race sim, rely on our GSR genetic strength rating is going to be key there for maidens and maiden special weight. And, I'm not sure that you really needs the lead. This horse might be able to stock off the pace. The 8 should get a good trip from out here, gets one scratch on the inside. I'm not really, Black Hornet. I don't know, special ops. I don't know. You can see the 2 does show the ability on the race sim to stock El Capo and his top pick. And we'll probably get every bit of 5-1, 6-1. I do like the exacta here as well, the 2-8. I think that's a great play. We're getting probably 10, 12-1 at least, maybe 15-1 would be nice, but we'll have to see. But, I thought there's those 2. So I think, again, make a decision. Arabia Wild, is the Brad Cox. I think this is the one here. J-Love rides, and Liberty's champion as Pedroza, but I think Pedroza might got taken off here. So watch for that at the Fairgrounds meet if Cox starts using Jareth Loveberry over Pedroza. So, because the A looks like the player. I watched some works on Liberty's champion. I didn't see anything here. There were some works at Ellis and maybe, we're all at Ellis. I watched a couple of these, and I didn't like it necessarily as a firster. So I think the 8, the Cox horse, and then as I mentioned, El Capo, you can see my analysis down here. But CJ rides, Flint ships in from Woodbine. This horse doesn't necessarily show that it wants the turf. It's the dirt or the synthetic, and ran 2 great races up there. This is showing up as a 56 and been running, gets off the rail. I think consider trip off the speed, going to be forwardly placed for CJ, because I think if the 1 don't break, CJ might just go. Because the 1's a question mark, in my opinion, on the rail. So CJ going to be forwardly placed on the lead or sitting right off. But I like the exacta there in race 6. Again, small pick 3, making a decision in the stakes race here in 15 minutes. It looks like Blue Fire versus Secret Faith, and 6 string going to be probably in the mix. But I think Secret Faith, if you just joined us, it's a dream trip today, right off the speed up front. All right, y'all. That's all I got. Last race is tough. I'm not even, I don't have a strong opinion. Though, actually, I will. One comment on the last races. I do think in the turf race 8, I do think House Bourbon is a live long shot. So if you are playing races in the last few races, I do think House Bourbon. The thing at this race, the pace, I think, backs up. I'm not sure these horses can take them all the way on the Fairgrounds turf. So, House Bourbon be my long shot, but man, I'd be spreading big time in this race, but a must use of House Bourbon is a long shot. Even a horse like the 3 could somehow surprise, but I spent a lot of time on this race. I think House Bourbon, Tim Thornton for Henry. Eric Henry don't have a lot of runners. I'm not sure who that is, but he's hit at a good clip. They sprinted last out and showed speed going 7. I just think off the claim, and now they stretch out going 2 churns. This horse going to be forwardly placed. Thornton in town to ride. He doesn't have a lot of mounts today, but I think this horse could sit the trip and, surprise at a big number. So tough races early. The last race, I think there's some question marks as well. In race 9 on Sip It and Gin. I'm not sure this horse much of a lock. You can see our win percent has this horse fairly wide open, and I would agree. So, all right, y'all. Back soon. I don't think they race tomorrow. Do they? No. I might cover Gulfstream tomorrow on Steel Hotel Championship meet. It's the last day of Sunshine meet. So I didn't cover it today, but maybe cover tomorrow. But no Fairgrounds tomorrow. But good luck this afternoon if you're playing. Chat soon.